So when we're dealing with this issue about what God is and the truth behind the matter, we have to consider the big concept, and that is the word in itself. Because if you approach it from a bias of a religious standpoint, God is going to be a figure that's invisible, that's a superhero, that's on the outside of things, that's looking in, that's controlling everything. When you look at different religions, when you look at different cultures, that's how they define it. They define it as a particular thing. And I've heard people use the term, the word God comes from, the word that we use today, God comes from Gott, which is German. And they just pretty much leave it at that. Well, let's go a little bit deeper. And I feel like I deserve that, I deserve the right to do so, considering that I speak German. And I played ball there for 3 years, so I got a little bit of handle on the language. And the word Gott, it comes from Iceland. Okay, it's like it's a dialect from Iceland. The word Gott itself. Okay. Now, the word and the concept was an idea, which is like chance. Okay. In other words, things happen for no good reason. It's chance. So if you look at it from that vantage point, then you'll be able to understand what I'm going to present next. And that is, the concept of God in itself is false. Because anything that is of truth does not need to be explained. It's already understood. I'll say that again. If anything is truth, it does not need to be explained. It is understood. We're not talking about facts. We're not talking about persuading someone by bringing forth numerous facts to try to persuade. It is because it is. It's like me saying, I'm going to go to sleep tonight. That's going to happen. We know that based off of our experiences. We know that that's a common occurrence. I don't have to prove that to you. It's understood. You breathe. It's subconscious. It's understood. I don't have to explain what's going on with you. It's understood. Okay? The fact that I'm talking to you, that's something that we're experiencing. You can hear me audibly, and you can see me visually. So I don't have to explain that. It's understood. So that's truth. But the simple fact that we cannot agree upon a particular label that has been placed on an idea, then there's no truth to that. Now what we've done is, because our egos is in a state of paranoia where it does not want to cease to exist. So because your ego cannot handle the concept that this may possibly be it, it's constantly in a state of paranoia where it's trying to find things that are tangible to keep feeding off of the idea that it will live on. Think about that. Your ego is not satisfied with just existing. It needs more than that. So this is what makes people vulnerable to religion, or to the concept of there being this invisible idea, or this invisible being that's controlling everything. So this will be my question, or my challenge. And this is definitely in good taste. And that is, how is it possible to evaluate something that is the unknown when dealing in the known realm? How is it possible? In other words, we have our senses. We have touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing. Then you have your intuition. You have your thought. So how do you measure something that is untangible? How do you measure something that cannot be explained or confined within this three-dimensional realm that we're in right now? How do you define that that's living on the outside of that we cannot experience as a truth that is known, that is understood? How can we evaluate that particular thing or that particular idea based off of the senses that we're operating under in this realm? How can you do that? Instead of searching the supernatural or some extraterrestrial source for the reason why we're here and who created us and the whole 9 yards, why not analyze that concept from the vantage point of operating off of our senses in this three-dimensional realm that we live in? Why not look within that to answer the question? Because otherwise, the moment that you jump out of that box, everything becomes opinionated. Everything. So if truth is understood, and if it doesn't have to be explained, then we have to ask ourselves, what's the one thing that we all agree on that's understood and doesn't have to be explained? And maybe if we start there, then maybe we'll have the answer to our question.